Right. I thought my marriage cracked the moment I watched my wife smile at another man, but the truth she told me ran after me.
For years, I believed marriage was held together by the small things, not grand gestures or perfectly scripted moments. It was the tiny rituals. Making her coffee just right, bringing her chocolate even after she swore she'd quit sugar, watching her favorite show for the 100th time because her laugh just made the world feel a little lighter. But somewhere along the way, those rituals became the only thread holding us together. My name is Rowan, and the moment that thread finally snapped wasn't dramatic, it was just a smile. It was a simple Saturday afternoon. Warm sun, lively crowds, the usual comfort of an outdoor market. Leah wanted to go, despite the quiet tension that had been hanging between us for months. We walked side by side, but we weren't really together. Her body was next to mine, but her mind was miles away. She kept glancing at her phone, then at anything that wasn't me. I tried my best to pretend I didn't notice. Pretending had become a habit I hated. Then we reached a fruit stand. And everything changed. She stopped. Not because of the fruit, but because of the man behind the table. Aiden, he was charismatic, easygoing, the kind of man who could make a stranger feel like an old friend with a single laugh. And Leah smiled at him. But it wasn't the polite smile she gave strangers. It wasn't the stiff, tired smile she'd given me for months. No, this smile was different. It was soft, warm, effortless, the kind of smile she used to save for me. My stomach nodded instantly. He offered her a slice of peach, and she tucked her hair behind her ear, suddenly shy and playful. "Trying to make me buy the whole crate?" she joked. He just grinned back. "It'd make my day," he said. Watching her light up for someone else felt like being struck by something sharp and invisible. I stood there, frozen, suddenly a stranger in my own marriage. I should have stayed. I should have breathed. I should have talked to her. Instead, something inside of me just cracked. A part of me quietly whispered, "She isn't yours anymore." So I turned and walked away. No confrontation, no questions, no explanation. Just resignation. A slow, deliberate walk toward the end of the street, toward the end of something I didn't know how to fix anymore. Maybe she didn't notice I'd left. Maybe she noticed and didn't care. I didn't look back to find out, but then I heard my name, Rowan. Her voice wasn't annoyed or angry, it was scared. I didn't turn around right away. Not because I didn't want to, but because I knew if I looked at her too soon, I might completely crumble. Her footsteps hurried behind me. "Rowan, wait please." I stopped, slowly. Carefully, she reached me, breathless, her cheeks flushed from running. For the first time in months, she was really looking at me, not past me, not through me. "At me, what happened?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why did you just walk off like that?" I opened my mouth and the truth slipped out before I could make it gentle. "Because I watched you smile at another man." The way you stopped smiling at me, Leah froze. Her eyes widened with something that looked like shock, or maybe pain, I couldn't tell. This wasn't the usual cold silence between us. This was stunned, heavy, real. "Rowan, no," she whispered. "It wasn't like that. It felt like that," I said. "And feelings matter, even if the explanation doesn't match them." Her shoulders dropped, like my words physically weighed her down. "You think I'd do that to you?" she said quietly. "You've been distant for months," I replied. "You barely talk to me. You're exhausted, withdrawn, you're somewhere else entirely. And today I finally saw you come alive again, just not for me." Tears filled her eyes instantly. "It wasn't him," she whispered. "It wasn't anything he did. Then what was it?" She hesitated. And then she said something that shattered my assumptions completely. I was smiling because, for a moment, I wasn't thinking about what I'm losing. I blinked, completely confused. "What are you talking about?" Her voice cracked. "I feel like I'm failing you, Rowan, every single day. I've been drowning in pressure I didn't know how to share with you. I felt empty, overwhelmed, scared. And I hid it all because I didn't want you to see me falling apart." My breath caught in my throat. "You should have told me." "I know," she said, wiping her cheeks. "I was terrified. I thought if you saw how much I was struggling, you'd leave." I just stared at her. "I thought you gave up on us." "No," she whispered instantly. "I never stopped loving you." I just stopped loving the version of myself I'd become. She looked down, then back up at me, broken, but finally honest. When I smiled at that guy, it wasn't for him. It was because for just 2 seconds, I didn't feel like I was failing. Suddenly, the pain I felt twisted into something different. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. It wasn't even understanding. It was just awareness. She wasn't drifting away because she wanted someone else. She was drifting because she was drowning. And she was doing it all alone. "And why did you run after me?" I asked quietly. Her voice trembled. "Because when I looked up and you were gone, I realized how far we've drifted. And I don't want to lose you, not like this. Not ever." Something inside me softened, not fully healed, but cracked open just enough to let a lid in. "I thought I was the only one hurting," I murmured. "We both were," she whispered. "We were just hurting alone." She reached out. Her fingers brushed mine, hesitant, shaking. "It wasn't perfect, it wasn't a fix, but it was real." "Come back to the market with me," she said softly. "Not to pretend things are fine, but to start talking again." I looked at her hand, at the fear and the hope all mixed together on her face. And I thought about the months of silence, the cold bed, the constant ache of feeling invisible. But I also thought about this moment. Her running after me, breaking open truths she had locked away for far too long. I took her hand gently. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for months. And together, we walked back toward the market. Aiden, the fruit vendor, spotted us and gave an awkward little wave. Leia squeezed my hand tighter, grounding us both. We didn't rush, we didn't pretend, we just walked. And she talked. Slowly, honestly, about her fears, her exhaustion, the weight she'd been carrying completely alone. And I listened, I really listened. For the first time in a long time, we weren't walking side by habit. We were walking together by choice. Maybe our path ahead wouldn't be easy. Maybe there were wounds we still needed to clean before they could even begin to heal. But as her fingers intertwined with mine, warm, steady, human something settled in my chest. Something that felt a lot like hope. Sometimes the moment that breaks you isn't the end. Sometimes it's the beginning of seeing the truth, of seeing each other, of seeing what's still worth saving. And Leia was still worth saving. And so were we.